Helen Mirren, one of our greatest actresses, plays Phédre in Racine's tragedy at the National, in a production which is going to be screened around the country. Let's just start off, Helen, if we might, talking about the plot. This is a story about complete crack-up or breakdown.
Yes, it's about, obviously, deeply inappropriate love and the way, it's one of the themes that Shakespeare talks about a lot in his sonnets, the way love basically destroys you or has the capability to destroy you. Everyone in Phédre is destroyed by their love. It's also a kind of, not exactly a detective story, but it's a kind of a thriller because constantly things happen that push these people off course, that are things that are out of their control. They're constantly sort of being caught with their pants down in a sense.
And for those of us who are kind of comfortable or familiar with Shakespeare, the British tradition, it is unfamiliar because Racine is the great French dramatist and it's very much long speeches, quite often with one or two people on the stage, but in a production by Ted.
Yes, they're
Ted
called
Hughes.
tirades, tirades, and they are like that. Yeah, that's the official French.
I'll just do a quick tirade.
Yeah, exactly. And they are exactly that. You just breathe in very deeply and let it out. But yes, no, absolutely. Nick Heitner, the director, was saying how Shakespeare would bring on the comedy gravedigger or a man with a dog in the middle of it, and the French would find that absolutely appalling. Vulgar, how you cannot combine those two things. And of course that was the absolute greatness of Shakespeare. But here you're in this sort of extraordinary, heightened world that from the moment you step on stage, you're already, 20 paces above ordinary life somehow. And then you just sort of go on and up from there.
There is this extraordinary forward-driving energy about it. The translation is by Ted Hughes. But I read that Shakespeare had a vocabulary of 30,000 odd words, whereas Racine used 3,000 only, which is extraordinary.
Yes, and I think that was a deliberate choice in a sense. I noticed in the French Racine the word funeste keeps reappearing. It's a word he absolutely loves, funeste, which
you can see why. Yeah.
You can see why, can't you? Absolutely. But the rules that Racine was operating under were so incredibly strictured, and not just the rhythm of the line, but the fact the end of the line, one end has to be female, the next has to be male, it has to rhyme. It's incredible that he managed to write great poetry and actually, in the end, quite a naturalistic play in many ways. Although it's heightened, it is sort of naturalistic. We can all recognise it within such an incredibly sort of tight form.
One of the unusual things about this, I was very lucky to go and see it. Lots and lots of people desperate to go to get tickets and can't get tickets. But this play is actually going to be shown on cinema screens later this week.
It is, on Thursday. We're doing... the Royal Opera House have done this, beamed their things out live. It's called NT Live. And the feeling is, the sense is to try and... Of course, you can't reproduce on screen a live theatre performance, but it's not a film of Phédre. It's a live performance being beamed sort of simultaneously to 250 cinemas worldwide, all over the world.
It'll be very interesting to see how it works with the sort of the flat screen and, as it were,
I know. I'm very nervous about it because obviously it's a complete contradiction as an actor. As an actor, you use exactly the same inner process in acting, but film or theatre, but the tools you use are completely different. So it will be an absolute experiment for us as well as on the job, if you like, to see how you can gauge the performance so it doesn't look ridiculous on the screen, but at the same time it reaches the people in the audience.
Because I was just thinking, all of those, you've been involved in great National Theatre and other RSC productions and stuff over the years. So many other great actors and actresses too. And people talk about them still, but they've gone. Nobody will ever see those again. And so just in terms of the record, it's quite interesting.
It is. The very nature of theatre, someone described it, an American, as a carving in ice, which I think is a perfect description of really what theatre should be. Yeah. In a sense, it should be only in the memory. And people should say, oh, my God, Peggy Ashcroft in the histories, it was the most astounding performance. And you can, never see it. So On the other hand, you know, I heard a recording of Sarah Bernhardt doing Phédre, this little distant voice. Oh, que j'aime que mes épires que l'on soupire. You know, this little... And, you know, it was thrilling to hear that, absolutely thrilling. I thought, I don't think I'm going to do it like that. But,
Martin Jakes.
I wasn't familiar with it at all. I'd never seen it before. I'd never read it. But I found it absolutely compelling. It's extremely easy to follow. And in the staging, I must say something about the staging. I think the staging is fantastic because it's got this very simplistic, very recognisable sort of Peloponnese setting, but it's got a sort of mystery associated with the setting as well.
It's beautiful. Well, Bob Crowley, one of the great, in fact, I think the greatest stage designer alive today, and brilliant lighting as well.
Anna Minton, what did you make of this?
I really, really enjoyed it as well. But I was wondering, how did you feel about playing such a monstrous female character?
Well, of course, actors never see the people they're playing as monstrous unless, I mean, I don't think she is monstrous, I have to say. I think she's, you know, she's
possessed.
Trapped, she's possessed by love, you know, passion,
Is
love.
that really love?
Well, I think it is. Yes, I think love can become obsession like that. You know, in our world, it wouldn't be thought of as monstrous or appalling because he's her stepson. And, you know, it's not incestuous, but in the context of the story, it's considered to be utterly incestuous. And that's what makes it completely illegal.
It probably helps that it's Dominic Cooper there, stripped to the waist. There were a lot of younger girls and women in there, I have to say. There were those of us there for yourself, and there were those for Dominic Cooper.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's an astonishing cast and a wonderful production.